Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer. Welcome to Lost in the Wasteland, my weekly interview show where I get a chance to talk to somebody about their perspective on movies. And this week, my pal Jake here from SiftPop is joining us. And this is Jake's second time on my channel after we basically just gushed about Hugo for a whole entire episode of my other show. But Jake, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
And if you would like to shamelessly plug any of the kinds of things that you do movie related, go right ahead.
Yeah, SiftPop's basically it. Just do generally a couple reviews a month, and then a monthly column or piece on an maybe underseen, underappreciated animated film. So I think this month, what am I doing? This month, still deciding on my animated film. I like to keep those a surprise anyway.
It's building up the anticipation.
Yeah, it might be historical actually. That might be the direction I'm going. So, and then for reviews, I've got The Bubble, not that one. It's an anime, and
I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, and Ozark.
Okay.
The second half. I did the first half, so they let me back to do the second half, and they come out within 2 days of each other, which I'm very excited.
Oh crap! I gotta watch part 1 of Ozark before part 2 comes out.
Yes, you do.
It's coming up, and then it's over.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because Netflix has some big heavy hitters coming out then. Because end of Ozark, and then Stranger Things season 4 is coming out soon. So they're just like pulling out all the stops.
Yeah, I may or may not be on that one too.
There you go. But what we're here to do is me ask Jake questions about movies, and we're going to see how that goes. So everybody's favorite or least favorite question to be asked, who is a movie fan? What is your favorite film?
Yeah, I hadn't, I think every movie fan's gone through a few different iterations of this, and I didn't really know the answer, what my modern answer was till I sort of started a letterbox, made my own list, what am I going to put up, and I went with Silence of the Lambs. So it's just one of those films that's got everything that I like. It's a fun little mystery. I mean, we're let in on the mystery, sort of halfway through. But that I think it's a credit that they do that, but it doesn't lessen the tension at all.
No, it does not.
So it's just a really tense movie. It's got obviously some fantastic performances. Sir Anthony Hopkins, Jodie Foster, and it's just one of those films that I can just watch whenever, which sounds weird for that film, but I think that's a necessity for favorite movie. If you're like somebody wants to put it on, you're like no, that really can't be. It could be a movie you really like, but I need to be willing to, hey, do you want to watch this, and have the answer always be yes. And yeah, that's this movie for me.
So, I love Silence of the Lambs. That's a great pick. Yeah. It's just like, hey, Senator, nice suit.
So good. There's so many just little turns of phrase and little things that you can just quote and they know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So. Oh, and just the perfect ending is like, I'm sorry, Clarice, I have to get going. I'm having an old friend for dinner. And it's just like, oh,
so yeah. Terrifying, but also just excellent pun execution.
Yeah, and, absolutely.
Probably meal and actual execution. So,
yep. I don't think Chilton made it. Now, what is your earliest memory of going to the movies?
Yeah, there's a couple that just don't quite make the cut. Like my parents say her first movie was Lion King, but I always don't remember. I remember those. You remember the Hercules toys and the plates that they come out? I
Yes.
remember. I remember those. Like I have the plates, the commemorative plates
Yeah.
that they have, but I don't remember actually going to the movie. So I
Yeah,
think
I had the Filatiti one
mm,
and the
mm,
Muses. I think those were the two plates that I
there's a
had.
film one. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Uh, but I I don't know if this is the actor, but it's the only one I can remember. Uh, I was in a town of about 9,000. We had to have been at least seven. So I can look it up. I should have looked up the release date because the movie is Road to El Dorado. Uh,
Ah,
we
Kevin
had a,
Kline, Kenneth
yeah,
Branagh.
yeah. And it's just, 2000. Yeah, that, yeah, that works.
Yep.
Um, and it's just fun. Like that's just a tiny theater in a tiny town. It was awesome. I don't know how much later it lasted, but I've always had a soft spot in my heart for that movie because of had I seen it in that tiny little theater. It was just fun.
Oh, I appreciate it more as an adult because as an adult, I appreciate Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh so much. Just the two, pairing the two of them up is genius. Like when you think about it, that's just perfect. And obviously Kevin Kline does some great voiceover work with still doing with Bob's Burgers, Mr. Fishoder. It's like, Bob, you're swarthy like an immigrant. He
Yeah,
just
I never quite have got into Bob Burger, so I'm like,
oh, there's some
I've watched
great
a
voice
few.
cast in it though.
Oh, I know the cast is great, but I think it's just one where I watched a few and I'm like, don't think it's for me. But yeah,
It
it's a sneaky because like, and it's one of those voice casts where maybe if I'd watched it later, the voice cast would have stuck out.
mhm.
But like, I think I've watched it a few times, obviously, since I was seven. But it's one of those films where like I had to look up who the cast was because I didn't remember. So I think it's one where they're recognizable, but at least for me, it's been a while. But I don't remember like the voice cast, which I think is a good sign. And not that you can't have good voice cast, like Pixar and Disney have made a killing off it. They're still
Yeah.
great. But I just think it's great if you can go into a movie, not know who's doing it, and sort of be surprised.
Well, that's the thing too, because like sometimes it's just nice to be lost in the character. Like sometimes there's room for great voice actors who
Mm,
can manipulate their voices, create characters, and then there's time for like celebrity casting where it's just like you pick somebody because it is their voice kind of
mm.
thing. Now, shifting gears into a couple of specific favorites here. Do you have a favorite genre of film?
Yeah, I would just have to go thriller.
Okay.
Can compass can compass a lot, but
Mhm.
a lot of the it's like I'll use a book analogy. When I'm going to the library and I'm sort of stuck on like what I want to do. I'm not looking for a specific book. I'm just looking for a book I think I'll probably like. I go into the computer and type in assassin because I know I'm going to get one of two things. I'm either going to get a movie about like some CIA intrigue type thing, or I'm going to get like some medieval thing, maybe some fantasy, maybe some magic. That's sort of what thriller does for
Okay.
me on a film level. It can encompass a few different things, but I'm gonna like all of them. Murder mystery, great. I love it. War, great. Yes. And it's just there's so many things that it can encompass,
Mhm.
but I just like just that feeling that you get from like I mean, just listen, thriller. I'm going to be thrilled. You're going to
Yeah.
be thrilled. Yes, I'd like that, please. Thank you.
There you go. You know what you want. And then that makes it even more sense with the Silence of the Lambs. So that just reinforces that.
Sort of mystery crime. Yeah, crime. Love a good crime story. Just different things, different little twists. Like 'em
Exactly.
all.
Now, do you have a particular favorite filmmaker?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to sort of interpret this one because I've seen all of Nolan, I've seen all of Tarantino, Spielberg, but like I decided to take a little more modern twist on it,
Okay.
um, because like there's a movie that's coming out, I'd like to see it. Who's directing it? I've never seen a Taylor Sheridan film that I don't like.
I'm a huge
So
fan of Taylor Sheridan.
yeah, I know he's got some hiccups, like when he's just doing the writing, but when he's in control, like I love it. Like Wind River is one of my absolute favorites. It's just fantastic.
Mhm.
And then the one he did last year, with the forest fires and
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie, it's just, I guess we're back, but it's
Yeah,
just
there we
like
go.
it's just like he knows what he's doing. He's always like the way everything looks is always spectacular. And yeah, he just does a lot of great things. Obviously, he's big on television right
Yeah.
now as well. Um, but I always know I'm going to get an interesting, film and a fun film. And yeah, if you're picking a modern movie right now, I'm seeing yes.
Yeah, because whether it's Sicario or Hell or High Water, which you both wrote and then directed, Wind River, and like if you're a middle-aged person, he makes your favorite show,
Right.
Yellowstone. So, which
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Yellowstone too, but like I feel like every single middle-aged person is a fan of Yellowstone.
My dad loves it. So
My dad loves it
I've seen
too.
the first season. Yeah, it's great. I'm like, yeah, I'll get back there. But it's just like, yeah, like both Hell or High Water and Wind River, if they're not in my top 15, I think they're in my top 20. So like he just makes movies that I like to watch. So
Yeah. And like 1883 emotionally devastated me every single Sunday for 2 months. And I'm just like, why am I doing this to myself? And it's just like, it was just that good. I'm like, damn, Taylor Sheridan, you have me. You have me good.
yeah.
Now, shifting gears into some of the people in front of the camera, which technically Taylor Sheridan does pop up occasionally in front of the camera.
Yeah,
But
every
who are
show,
some of
yeah.
your favorite actors or actresses?
Okay, so I'll go to the one I thought of this morning first, just quick.
Okay.
Another more modern one, but like the last 2 years, like anytime it says Anya Taylor-Joy's popping into something, I'm like, yes, I'm interested
Yep.
because Emma's fantastic. Queen's Gambit is so good.
Yep.
She's great in Last Night in Soho, and I'm really looking forward to The Northman coming out. So, and The Witch was great too. But like, she's always making something interesting and
Mhm.
different, and it's always really, really good. So that's what I thought of just recently as far as an actress goes. But as far as actor goes, like when I look at my collection, which I sort of forgo a little more,
Mhm.
just to do more modern stuff, just to go to the theaters. But like it's stacked with Denzel Washington. Like he's always going to be good.
Yes.
Um, so he can give a bunch of different types of performance. There's a bunch of different movies. Like we can stay thriller. Fallen is underrated for me. But he can do, something a little more dramatic. Philadelphia is
Yes.
great. Not many people can stand up to like prime Tom Hanks.
Yep.
And then otherwise, he's also got action chops. Like
Yep.
I love another favorite, Man on Fire. I love Man on Fire, and he's just believable. He adds emotion to everything, um, and he always knows what movies he's in. Because
Yeah.
like I said, Man on Fire, like it's when he needs to be serious and when he needs to do action, he can do that. When he needs to ham it up with Christopher Walken, also a thing. So it's just great.
Yeah, with Anya Taylor-Joy, it's like even New Mutants, I really enjoyed her in a lot. And it's just
Yeah.
like you seem to be the one having fun here. And then have you seen Thoroughbreds?
Well, that maybe be popping up later in
I'm
I
gonna slowly walk away from that. So we'll talk
yes,
about that later.
but short answer yes.
Okay, so we'll bookmark that one.
Yeah.
But like with Denzel, like he could do Shakespeare, like with Tragedy of Macbeth, so great. He sold that Shakespeare dialogue so perfectly. And then something like Fences, he literally filled up the screen. Like I was
Yeah.
afraid to get on his bad side
Yeah, there's
watching the
nowhere to
movie.
hide. Yeah, and
No,
that's just a great acting piece because it's him and Viola Davis. That's basically it, and it's awesome.
and she probably has the best ugly cry I
Yeah,
think I've ever seen in any movie, like period.
yeah,
And both of them deserve those Oscars.
yeah.
One of them did not get it, but that's a whole entire other conversation. But Denzel looked pissed when he didn't get that for Fences. Now, shifting gears a little bit to some of the kinds of things where it's just like, you said something earlier related to one of the movies you talked about, but what's a film that you could literally just watch every day?
Yeah, there's a couple of these that I've done like in streaks. So
Okay.
like when I was in like because I'm one of those people who needs to have like noise on when I go to
Mhm.
sleep. So pop on movie, YouTube TV. So Dread in college was one of those. Recently, like a podcast I listened to was doing rom-coms, and they mentioned a rom-com. I'm like, oh, I meant to watch that. Never got around to it. And then I watched Shut It Up for about a week straight. But the one I think I had the most extended streak of that in, that is my answer, because I think I could probably do it, is Thor Ragnarok. Because I just love Taika Waititi's wit and his style and his
Mhm.
humor, and you get some fun Marvel action. It's lighthearted. You can pick it up wherever. It's not one
Mhm.
of those movies where you need to, you know, be what all right, what happened here, what happened
Yeah.
here, who is talking to who again. It's not a hit, it's not intricate, it's just, yeah, start from here, fine. Where did I fall asleep last night? Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. um so yeah.
It's like, who's the bad person? It's obviously this woman completely dressed in black.
Yeah,
Make it real simple
correct.
for you. Just
Yeah,
hop right in. Now, I always love asking this question because it gives a little bit of dimension to like our interests outside of movies. But what's a film that you connect with because it relates to another interest of yours?
yeah. So I didn't really narrow this down very much. I just went sort of broad because I'm a history buff.
Okay.
Uh, made always have been, majored it in college, and like with World War II, they're never going. There's never going to stop being interesting stories to talk about in World War II. Like just with the characters. I mean,
Mhm.
like the leaders are larger than life characters. The tragedies are just immense.
Yeah.
Um, so it's one of those things where I think. 10% of my top 100 might be connected in some form to World War II. Like, because even A League of Their Own, technically a World War II film,
It's
but
in the
it's also,
context of like that
yeah,
happened because of World War II.
yeah. So but it's sports and fun and all
Mhm.
that sort of stuff. And I just love and what movies are doing now. Everybody knows who the Nazis are. Everybody knows who the players are. That's fine. They're finding these smaller and more intricate stories that I haven't heard about because
Mhm.
there's just so many of
Yeah.
them, and putting them on the big screen for people. And it's a great, whether they're 100% accurate, you'll take your liberties at
Yeah.
times, I'm sure. But it's a fun, well, not a fun usually. Usually it's depressing. It's a
Fair.
learning tool just for stories that I didn't know about, told in a compelling way. And it's like the World War II movie Above Replacement is very high. Like there's a ton of just solid World War II movies,
Yeah.
especially if you're willing to broaden out to international films.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I watched I cannot tell you how many times I've watched The Great Escape in my life. Because like I would watch that with my grandfather all the time. And
Yeah, I
that
saw
was
that for the first time last year.
what did you think of it?
I really liked it. I don't know if that one I'm going to be going back to over and
Mhm.
over again, just because, like, I get it for you, for the nostalgia. That's
Mhm.
like me turning on, like, you know, 10 Commandments every Easter just because it's what you do.
It came on ABC last Saturday. I'm like, wait, is
Yeah.
tomorrow Easter? I'm like,
Right.
did they
Okay. We were having that. I was having that same discussion with my
I'm
mom.
like, did I forget what week Easter was? Why is the Ten Commandments on this Saturday?
Yeah, she's like, so let it be written. I'm like, I even forego the so let it be done to be like, wait, is that the Saturday before Easter? What's going on here?
Why'd they ruin our traditions? I spent
Yes.
the 5 hours every single Easter Eve growing up watching the Ten Commandments with my
Yeah.
grandparents.
Yes.
Um, now, Jake, who's a movie character that you feel like you connect with on a personal level?
Yeah. Um, if I was found to have magical powers, I would so be Hermione Granger. Like, give
Okay.
me all the books. I'm getting all the good grades. I'm learning everything there is to know about magic. Because, like, that was me. I read a lot as a kid. Harry Potter was one of those books that I got into, like, in second grade.
Yeah.
And, like, read it. I can't tell you how many times I've read those books. But yeah, I'd be just reading and doing school, and oh my God, you're gonna get us in trouble. What are we gonna do? That would be me. So if I was, yeah, I'm definitely the bookworm. So I would that transport me into Star Wars. Doesn't matter. I'd be the guy sitting in the library, Jedi archives, learning about everything.
Yeah.
Yes, that'd be me.
Jake's just chilling there. I'm like, I run the archives now. Uh,
Yes.
now, I definitely reading Harry Potter a lot growing up. I definitely related with Hermione the most out of all of them. Like, I was definitely that kid too. Now, what film do you love that might surprise people?
Okay, we're gonna take quite the winding road to get here
Okay.
because this was an interesting question for
Mhm.
me. So I went in a lot of different directions. First one, I'm like, okay, is there a bad movie people think's bad that I like? Because I like the Steve Martin Pink Panther. Because that's another theater experience where you're laughing.
Mhm.
Book of Henry I loved, but I've never gone back to that because I'm
Oh
like,
wow,
I
you're the
think I
one
met.
person that did.
Yes, exactly. And I'm like, I don't know that I love that movie, and I don't want to go back to it. Like lower than average in the top 100. I'm like, that gives it a few. Bruce Almighty, Patriot, Tombstone, but I think people love those.
Patriot is a masterpiece.
Right. And Patriot's one of those where it's been like everybody's like, yeah, that's his best movie. So I can't answer that. Underseen, again, love, Man from Uncle Fracture. So yeah, now we get to the actual answer, which is a movie I just don't think many other people have seen. Like there's these two girls, and they do this thing, and they're friends, or they used to be friends, and one of them's tutoring the other. And I think Elijah Wood shows up at some point as like some
Oh,
weird drug dealer
it's
or
Anton
something.
Yelchin, which is really sad too to watch.
What did I say?
Elijah Wood.
Shit. I totally did that.
Not gonna lie, that
Uh,
if it was Elijah Wood,
uh,
I wouldn't have changed much, to be
Oh,
honest.
I
But
feel that I did such a long lead it and then totally
it's
screwed the
all
person.
good.
It does make me so sad though, because it's like Thoroughbreds, in case you haven't gotten it, is the movie, and yeah, it's fantastic.
There it is.
And like nobody's seen it. And Olivia Cook and Anya Taylor-Joy are so good.
Yes.
And it's one of those weird movies where I'm like, that looks amazing. I can't wait till I see it. And it took forever to get somewhere where I
Yeah.
could see. And then I watched it and I'm like, this is amazing. And everybody else like, oh, it's fine, or they just didn't watch it. Like more likely didn't watch it.
Yeah.
But it's just like nobody's seen this. And that's where they'd be surprised because they're like, what is that? I don't know what that is.
I remember when that trailer dropped and like the music, I'm like, what is this? And
It's a great trailer.
I'm like, I need to see this right now.
Yes.
And obviously the director has watched a lot of Kubrick films because all the camera work and everything's like straight out of like The Shining and stuff like that. And it is a unnerving film with two amazing performances at the front. Olivia Cook and Anya Taylor-Joy, like that was like, hey, we're gonna be something, and they are something.
They're so good, and yeah, that's one of the best trailers ever. Because, like you said, the music's great. It's an intriguing premise, and it's one of those things where I think it's based on a play, and like it doesn't. It does, yeah. It's limited locations, but it doesn't like I didn't know that till I looked it up because there's some like you can see it, but like there's some where you're like that's a play, that's based on a play, but this sort of makes it feel enough like a movie.
Well, it feels cinematic because of the great direction too. So like it doesn't just feel like, hey, we're just watching a play on tape kind of thing. So I think that definitely makes that stand out. Now, Jake, my last question for you is, what do you love most about movies?
I think just the overall experience. Like there's like whether it's a visual you've never seen before, like an emotion, like a great twist ending, like movies can just drag stuff out of you that like you don't get with it's just like you go and you feel things and it's fine, and then you get to talk about and then it becomes like not only you, it's like either the people you're watching in the theater with or the people you go to talk about it with after, like, and so it becomes a shared community. It becomes a community aspect as far as the experience. But yeah, it's just like what it can make you feel, and like just seeing things like I've never seen that before. How did they do that? Oh my God, that's awesome. I want that hanging in my apartment right now. So,
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate that because, and I think COVID definitely made people long for the experience, right? Especially like seeing things in a theater with people. And well, I'll definitely be having that in a couple weeks, seeing Multiverse of Madness, because I'm just waiting for like people to go insane every 5 seconds because I feel
yeah,
like that's the kind of movie this is going to be.
yeah.
But so time for the end of the show, where my little wild card is I let my guest ask me a question.
Oh,
So, Jake, what is a question you would like to ask the Wasteland Reviewer?
okay. Well, I would like what what obviously you're one of those people who just sees a ton of movies. Like you run the gambit on sort of what you're trying to see.
Mhm.
Like going into something, what's your favorite type of movie to go into? Like, is it just to sort of explain yourself? Is it like the big blockbuster? Is this the small indie where I'm like, I have no idea what this is? Like, what types of movies do you find yourself sort of most up for?
Well, and I appreciate that question because, when you just watch literally everything, when it's like, it's funny because when we do like the ranking system on like the podcast and stuff like that, it's just like, are you gonna check this out? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna check it out and check out everything. But like, do I really want to watch it? It's the thing. I think that the type of movie that probably gets me the most excited because how much I appreciate the art of filmmaking is something that like if I know an auteur director is making something. So like I get excited going into a Robert Eggers film. Actually, honestly, anything that's A24, I'm probably gonna get excited for because they did not touch that movie at all. They're just like, hey, director, go do whatever the hell pops in your head.
Yeah,
And it's one of those kinds of things where it's just like, if I know going in that this is a really creative thing that somebody put together, that's probably going to be getting me the most excited because like probably the movie experience I was most excited for last year was The Green Knight because based off of that trailer, I'm like, this looks bonkers and this could be anything and I
yeah,
cannot wait for it. Um, and those are the kinds of films that get me most excited because like you can do so many things with movies and a lot of the times people do a lot of the same things with movies and it's exciting to get something unique and creative and weird and different. Like if I'm gonna get excited about a particular genre, like I'm not gonna lie, I'm a humongous Marvel fan, so I'm just gonna
mhm,
get excited no matter what they put out. So like some more than others, like I am super stoked for both Multiverse of Madness and Love and Thunder. Like this year's gonna rock.
mhm.
Cannot wait. But I'm excited to see what great filmmakers are putting out there. And like, I can't wait for The Northman. I've been so excited for The Northman since I heard that Robert Eggers was making a Viking epic. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Just like,
Yeah,
I need this now.
that's going to be interesting. And it's one of those things where I've seen the trailer obviously 20 times.
Yes.
And Aaron and I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, obviously over the weekend.
Perfect example of a movie that I get
Yeah,
excited for because it looks bonkers.
but like for the Northman, I leaned over and I'm like, I have a feeling like this one could be one of the ones where it's Eggers, so it's going to be interesting. But he just makes such deliberate films. Like I've seen The Witch. I just got The Lighthouse from the library.
Mhm.
Um, I haven't seen it, and it's weird because everybody's seen The Lighthouse. Like I know a ton of people who've seen it, and I still don't know where I'm going to land because it's obviously very divisive. So I don't know
Yep.
if I'm going to be in the love it or hate it camp. But like for the Northman, I have a feeling like that could be divisive too, because they're making it seem like this epic, but I think it's going to be like a lot slower burn than the trailers are making it out to be.
Well, because it's a
So,
2 hour and 15-minute movie. It does have a $90 million budget, which is why
okay.
A24 did not make this. Focus Features did. But like I heard Robert Eggers say, the trailers do not like really paint how weird this movie is. And I'm like, that gets me excited. Like for me personally, I'm just like, yes, make this even weirder. Because I'm a huge fan of The Lighthouse. I am one of the people that absolutely love The Lighthouse. I know a few SiftPop people who are not the just fan of The Lighthouse, but I ate up every second of it.
Yeah, but it's interesting because, like, I know it's critically acclaimed, but every once in a while there's those critically acclaimed movies that like you just don't get, and it's just weird because like a ton of people have seen The Lighthouse. I'm sort of late to the party on that one, but it's just gonna be an interesting experience over the next week or so whenever I pop it in, because I'm like I have no idea where I'm gonna land, and that's
Oh, I'm
exciting.
excited to find out.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, it's those like really artistic, creative films from like auteur directors where it's just like, I'm gonna see something unique today. And that like 100% the Daniels with Everything Everywhere All at Once, that's 100% that, and that delivered. Woo!
Yes.
That was a crazy movie, and I loved every second of it. But Jake, this was a blast. I appreciate you coming on. And I guess let you, if you'd like to shamelessly plug one last time before we wrap up and say goodbye to all the wonderful people who watched.
Yeah, so again, you can see my movie thoughts on SiftPop. I'm also on Twitter and Letterbox. Easiest way to find me would be to just go to the SiftPop account and find me there. It's Jake _ Bourgeois, Bourgeois. But just finding me on SiftPop saves you the trouble of remembering the order that the vowels go in, because there's a lot.
There you go. I appreciate that. Did they get I know they're working on a writer's page for the website. Cause so like once that's up, that's gonna
Yeah,
make things a lot really nice because
yeah,
it's just gonna have all of our information on there. It's like clicking on all these random links and everybody could just follow all of our letterbox
yeah. There you
accounts
go.
because like if you love movies, why not? And hey,
Right.
I don't even get paid by letterbox, so there you go, free advertising. So Jake, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.